I'm going to tell a story called Morley the Toothless Mastadon. One time, 12,000 years ago, there lived a baby mastodon named Morley, who lived with his mother and father in the lower Hudson River Valley in the shadow of Storm King Mountain. Now, Morley was a perfect little baby mastodon in every way except one. He had that short, brown, beaver-like fur of a mastodon to keep him warm during the Ice Age, and he had those cute little round ears of a mastodon, and he had a long, elephant-like trunk of a mastodon. In fact, he looked sort of like a brown, hairy elephant, which is exactly the way he was supposed to look. But he was still missing one thing. Teeth! He didn't have any teeth. Not molars, not bicuspids, not tusks, nothing. Now, this not having any teeth caused Morley two big problems. First, he couldn't eat like a mastodon. He couldn't reach up with his elephant trunk and pull down the poplar leaves and birch leaves and twigs and crunch them up in his back teeth. No, he had to eat baby food. Puree of leaves, strained twigs, yuck. The worst thing was that when his whole family went to McDonald's, they ordered a McTwig, a large order of leaves, and a thick shake. And all Morley could have was the thick shake and baby food from home. Now, Morley's second big problem was that he couldn't say his words right. He had a lisp. And whenever anybody asked him where he went to school, he said, "I go to Miss Vincent's school for really smart mastodons." And he gave everybody a bath of spit. Kids got off the school bus and said, "Hey, Mom, I don't need a shower tonight. I sat next to Morley in speech class." Morley was very unhappy. His mother tried to make him feel better. She said, "Morley, your teeth are going to come in. They're just taking a little bit more time. You have to have patience." But it's hard to have patience. And one day, Morley got an idea. He decided to take his life savings, $8.43, down to the Storm King branch of Woollyworth and buy a set of mastodon teeth. Now, I don't know if you folks realize this, but 12,000 years ago, there was a Woollyworth in every town in America, and you could get anything there. Their motto was, "If it isn't extinct, you can buy it at Woollyworth." Well, that Saturday morning, Morley had his life savings, and he went down to the Woollyworth and waited for the doors to open. When they did, he ran up the store aisle to his clerk, Miss Caribou, and he said, Miss Caribou, I'd like to buy a set of mastodon teeth, please. Here's my life savings, $8.43. Miss Caribou looked at Morley, and then she looked at his life savings, and then she burst out laughing. "Oh, young man, we don't sell teeth at Woollyworth." "What a notion! How silly! Where'd you get that idea? From the Tooth Fairy?" "Wait until I tell the girls in the lunchroom about this." And she walked off laughing. Morley was so embarrassed and dejected, he ran home and went right upstairs. He didn't want any more baby food. Well, his mother and father decided they had to do something to cheer him up. And they got an idea. And they took him up to visit his grandpa in Cohoes. Now, Grandpa lived up the river in Cohoes, where he was formerly a heavyweight boxing champion, known in his fighting days as the Cohoes Mastadon. Normally, Morley loved to hear his tales of life in the ring, but he was so bummed out now that he just stood on the doorstep and rang the bell, because his parents told him to. Grandpa came to the door himself and said, "Well, Morley, what a nice surprise." Morley looked at Grandpa in amazement. "Grandpa, where are your teeth?" "Oh, shucks, did I forget to put them in again? I must be slipping. Come on in, folks, it'll only be a minute." Grandpa left the room and came back and said, "What do you think of these choppers, Morley?" Morley was even more amazed. He said, Grandpa, where did you get those teeth? And Grandpa said, I got them at the dentist. Isn't that where everybody gets their teeth these days? Hey, wait a minute, where are you going? Oh, Morley was out of the house and down the street. He walked right into downtown Cohoes and up to the dentist office. It was easy to find the dentist office because it was right next to the Cohoes branch of Woollyworth. He made an appointment, he waited his turn, and he jumped into the dental chair and had the bib put around his neck. The dentist came in himself and said, Open wide, young man. And Morley opened his mouth wide, and the dentist put his whole head in Morley's mouth. He looked up, he looked down, he looked right, he looked left, and then he pulled his head out abruptly and said, Young man, someone has stolen all of your teeth. Nurse, quick, call the police. Yipes, said Morley. I didn't have any teeth to begin with. No one stole them. I want you to give me a set, like you gave my grandpa, the Cohoes Mastadon. Nurse, forget about the police. And by the way, stop laughing. Young man, let me explain facts of life to you. Your grandpa is old man. He's not going to grow any more teeth. So I make him a set, a beautiful set of dentures. I'm a great artist. But you are a little boy. You're going to grow your own teeth. It's just taking more time. Believe me, they will come. Now go away and stop bothering me. I'm trying to rehearse my speech for tonight's dental banquet. How to stop canine teeth from barking at night. Well, Morley went home. And he was so unhappy. He went right to bed. And do you know he didn't get out of bed for 3 days? Until finally his parents had had enough. And they were going to take him to the doctor on the 4th morning. But that morning, Morley woke up. Oh, his mouth hurt all over. He called for his mother, and she came in with a flashlight. And she looked up, and she looked down, she looked right, she looked left. And then she turned off the flashlight and said, Morley, I've got some good news, and I've got some bad news. The bad news is that your mouth is going to hurt for a little while longer. But the good news is you're growing teeth. And she pulled him over to the mirror, and he could see for himself the tusks that were starting to grow. And he could feel it happening all over his mouth, teeth pushing through the gums. And his mother said, Wait here, Morley, I've got a big surprise for you. And she ran down to the basement to the deep freeze. Now, this was the Ice Age, so the whole basement was the deep freeze. And she pulled out a dinosaur bone. She brought it right up to Morley and said, Morley, here, take this bone. I've been saving it for a long time, just for this moment. And he said, Oh, Mom, thanks. A dinosaur bone. Wow, I've always wanted one. Well, to make a long story just a little bit longer, after a few weeks, Morley had a perfect little set of mastodon teeth, and he was a perfect little mastodon. Soon to graduate from Miss Simpson's School for Really Smart Mastodons, with several Diction Awards from Miss Simpson herself. And after all his teeth were in, Morley decided to celebrate by taking his whole family out to dinner with his life savings. $8.43. Where? To McDonald's, of course. And so Morley and his family lived happily in the shadow of Storm King Mountain from that day to this.